Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Slightly Modified YouTube channel. So lately we've been working on this car. It's a 1980 Toyota Corolla and she needs some love. So in the last video you guys seen, we pulled the engine out and had some transmission problems. So we did go ahead and take care of that. I don't know if I showed you guys. And basically what we did is everything that we took apart, we just put in the trunk of the car because I told myself I wanted to paint the engine bay. Now, did I do the best job? No. Did it turn okay? Yes. So I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start bolting all this stuff back up. Now, as you guys can see back here, I got this really old, ugly, crappy, rusty brake booster. Now, I don't wanna put that back on. Who knows if it even works? I've never even driven this car. Techno Toy Tuning, they make a bunch of stuff for these Corollas, right? The whole rear end on this car is whole Techno Toy Tuning, 4-link, all that crazy stuff. So what this is a brake booster delete. So all it does is pretty much just bolt it to your firewall. Man, this is kind of cool. It just bolts like that, and then boom, bolts your master right to the firewall. We're just gonna have to bend some lines up. This is technically a temporary solution. I do want to get braided lines everywhere eventually. This kind of bolted up, as you see, the lines are bent all wacky, but good thing is these things are pretty flexible, so I can probably clean something up here. As you can see, I got this bolted back up. This needs to go in this bolt hole right here. I can't get it there yet, but I'm scratching the back of the firewall, and I don't really care, but I just don't want there to be bare metal because this bare metal means rust. What up? Another day, another bay. Before I started working on the engine, it was just bothering me how much orange peel was on there. So I've been wet sanding the whole thing. I'm using a combination of 1500 and then I'll go over it with 2000, and then after that it's a real easy buff job. You just basically shine it back up from dull. So we're looking for no shiny spots. That's what we're looking for. I mean, if there is shiny spots, oh well, it's an engine bay. But I don't want to dig too deep because I didn't spray this clear coat as thick as I thought I did. So we're gonna start with kind of seeing what we missed. So we just wipe all this down. Some of the stuff we're gonna wanna go over again. Some of it we're just gonna leave. So there's a couple shiny dots and shiny divots in there. So obviously you can see how these spot welds are shiny because they can't really get down in there. And if you kind of dig too hard, you're gonna rub the paint off the edges, which I've already done in a few spots. So as you can see right here, there's some shiny spots right here, so we'll go over that again. Pretty much this whole area, as you guys can see, I've already started sanding through these high spots on accident. But the main thing we're looking for is just a smooth surface, and we've achieved most of that. And up here on the top of the shock tower, we're not doing too bad up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and call this side good. This side I just started sanding now. I started sanding the top of the engine bay where the VIN is, and we're gonna do that. And then I'm not gonna focus so much on the back here, but I'll focus on the sides. And then after that, we're gonna polish the whole bay up, and then we're gonna call it. This is the first painted engine bay that we have. I mean, I've helped a couple friends do it here and there, and all I know is you can do a really solid job on spray paint if your prep work is okay, and if you make sure you lay a lot more paint down than you need to. And the clear, don't be shy on the clear, heavy clear. So I'll just set up the time lapse, and I'm gonna try to spend another half an hour wet sanding this bay, and then whatever I could do in half an hour, I guess that's gonna be it. Here we are a couple hours later. I had to go ahead and do as much as I possibly could before I decided to call it quits. Now, there's some spots that look better than others, like back here, it doesn't look great, but it's all one color now. She's looking good. The engine bay, right here over the VIN on the firewall, it's looking pretty good. Everything's looking nice and shiny. As you guys can see, I didn't even paint this stuff, and I don't plan on doing it. The previous owner had cut the whole course port out because he decided that he wanted to get the engine in and out easier. Terrible idea. So that's why I didn't paint this all up yet, because I just didn't really know how I was gonna fix it. So hopefully if I do fix it, I'm just gonna have to mask off everything and then I will prep and paint this. But for now, everything is black, and that's kind of my main goal. So right now, since there's bolts everywhere and stuff like that, I have no idea where these go. We're gonna start putting the cowl back together to try to make this a little bit more complete of a car. Now, the previous owner had plasti dipped a lot of things on this car, including the cowl. So I just whipped out a little bit of acetone, and I know it's probably not the best, but it's getting this stuff off pretty quick. So I'm gonna do that. Try to be real careful with the paint. Yeah, we're gonna have to go ahead and send this. I'm just trying to find the motivation lately, guys. I haven't really had it, but I want to find it. So I'm forcing myself to be out here doing things, and hopefully, you know, when it starts getting closer to running and driving, you know, I might find that motivation there. That goes in the hay. So basically, guys, what I've been doing to this engine is just trying to clean it up a little bit. I can't find myself to put this engine back in the car and just the condition that it literally looks like it was just sitting on a ship in the middle of the ocean, because everything has like oxidation and stuff on it. Like right here, all this stuff, like it just rubs right off. So I'm gonna try to hit all this with a wire wheel, clean all this down here. See how it's freaking disgusting. I wanted to paint the block. We may or may not paint the block, because to be honest, if you're looking at this engine in the car, there's just so much going on that you're not even gonna see it. So I'm thinking about just cleaning it up. No paint, I don't know. Throw the valve cover on. As you guys can see, I did a full polish on the intake manifold. That took most of the day, the last day I was out here, but that was a while ago. So basically what I had done is I had ground it all down, because there was a lot of like nicks and stuff like that. I ground it all down with like a roll-lock disc and a die grinder. Then I went ahead and just got the sanding on it. We did about 400, 800, 1500, and then I think I did like 2000. And then I think I literally just started hand polishing it. Now, obviously you could probably get it done a little bit faster and a little bit more efficient, but that was all I had, and I wasn't even gonna do this, and then I just started doing it. It started looking so good, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start polishing on the rail too. So I started polishing up on the rail. And now I'm like, okay, now the rest of this thing looks like shit. This is kind of what it used to look like right here. So I was like, man, well, I'm not going to be polishing everything. I don't have time. So basically what we're going to do is we're just going to clean it. And then after that, hopefully we can mate the transmission back to the engine, and we could just keep pushing on this. I've had this part for a while, and I think it's about time I threw it on. So here's this piece in the back of the head. Here's where the coolant comes out. This is where the coolant supplies your throttle body, and this is where the coolant supplies your heater core. And this right here is an oil return back down to the pan, I believe, from the head. That's why it's a big Johnny. The thing about this is it's pretty bulky, and it sticks out pretty far. And I noticed when I took the engine out of the car that this was kind of hitting everything, and I noticed right here there was a leak. As you guys can see, there's a bunch of dried coolant and stuff, and I actually had seen it dripping when I pulled it off. So basically what the previous owner did was, as you can see, the coolant that feeds the throttle body, I guess it's to keep the throttle plate from getting stuck or whatever in cold environments. I live in California, do not need it. Apparently the previous owner thought the same thing, so what he did was he just looped it, and he disconnected it from the actual throttle body. There's a supply and there's a return somewhere that I can't see. So basically he just looped it. I'm gonna remove the whole thing, and we are just going to plug it right here. This is the return to the water pump. We're gonna have to plug it right here, put some type of plug, and then right here, this is where it goes, comes out of the head. So the cool thing about this fitting that I had bought, this fitting is from SQ Engineering. It's called a slimline rear housing, and it does just that. It slims it up. And what it also does is it gets rid of this throttle body coolant line, and it gives you a tapped line for the heater core if you choose to run one. And it also gives you a couple fittings, whether you just want to plug it or you actually want to put a barb fitting on there and then put something like this back on there. Now, what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to put this barb fitting on, and I think I'm going to actually keep this bypass. I don't know about on these 3S GEs, but on JZs, if you plug it, then the coolant in the back of the head just kind of stays, you know, chilling there, and it kind of creates like a little hot spot. So you want to get that out of the head and you want to bring it back down to the water pump. That way there's better coolant flow through the engine. Not sure if that's the same way on this. If it is, cool. If not, I wasted my time. They give you a gasket, so all you have to do is pretty much unbolt this, which I already did. I loosened it. Just gonna bolt that on and then boom. All right, took a break from the motor, decided to work on this J166 speed all Tesla transmission. Let's go. So what I have been doing here was I have 3 clutch release bearings. So this is the one that I got with the car. He said it didn't fit, and he was right. Doesn't fit. I don't even think it's for a freaking this engine or this transmission, whatever. I don't really know. Then I went on eBay and I bought this one, and it's closer to fitting, but it didn't come with a little clippy boy. And what I had noticed was the clip I had, it kept like falling off, so it wasn't really secure. So then that left me with the OEM one. The OEM one felt kind of sus, so I pulled out the seal on the bearing here. Looked pretty dry. Went ahead and shoved some grease in there, kind of moved it around a little bit. I didn't have, I think you're supposed to use a certain type of grease, but all I had was high temp disc brake or wheel bearing grease, whatever. This is a really common type of grease, so I just shoved some of that in there. Now it freaking moves smooth as butter. Also, I went ahead and took the shift fork off, got the pivot ball inside the shift fork, cleaned it all. Most importantly, cleaned it all. Cleaned the sleeve right here. So now this goes back and forth nice and smooth. Also cleaned out all the splines with like a flathead screwdriver like this, or if you could fit a wire wheel in there, that works too. Did that. Put more of this wheel bearing grease in there. Hopefully I don't regret that. Now I'm gonna clean everything up in here and make sure there's no bull crap in here flying around. And now it's pretty much time to mate this transmission back on this engine. Less talking. I'm just gonna go ahead and mate this up, and then we're ready to throw this puppy in the car. I'll bring you guys back up. I got it on the hoist in the garage, ready to go. The roller's back there. Tomorrow's the day. I want to slap this bitch back in there. Good morning. It's about 10:30. I got everything out of the way. She's ready to go in. I got a few things going on in the background. I got the battery charging. Who knows if this thing is even still good. My charger says it's at 75%. I've been kind of tending it over the last while. Yeah, let's see. The engine is kind of sketchily hooked up to the intake runner and bolted to like the water pump housing. That's the best thing I can do. So hopefully we can get it at an angle enough to kind of scoop it in. Luckily the core sport's gone, but right now this engine's going in. Okay, well I got it in, but not without a little bit of damage, as expected. Kind of chapped, but life goes on. The intake manifold smashed into the shock tower, chipped the paint right here. I don't know if there's gonna be any saving that. I might just have to color it with some Sharpie and call it a day. Luckily you can't see it that bad, but I'm a little upset. These mounts aren't dropping all the way down. I don't know why, there's a little gap, so I'm gonna have to get in there with a pry bar, see if we can wiggle it in a little bit more. But other than that, for doing it by myself, it went pretty smooth. Transmission, of course, is in there, but it's tight. It's real tight. But I can start pulling the parts out of this hatch, start putting it back on. Transmission cross member, drive shaft, you know, stuff like that. And I gotta get some oil, and I gotta get some transmission fluid, manual trans fluid. Hopefully we can get this thing almost ready to fire by the end of the day. If I'm actually waiting right now on somebody. So I'm trying to buy another car. So if they call me, I'm going. If they don't, then I'm staying. So we'll see. Kind of, you know, it sucks buying cheap cars because you got to fight 20 other people, but it's all good. It's the name of the game. You don't really realize like how many little things you got to connect and do and all this and that. But we ain't too far off. So got the intake on. We're pretty much just getting everything on, and then I'm just going around. Once I touch it, I'm tightening it. That way I don't leave anything loose. Just got the clutch master on. I got to tighten the brake master. Really tight spaces down there. Fuel lines are kind of connected. I don't really have the supply connected because I might pump the tank out because the gas smells terrible. I need to mount the regulator right here, so a little spacer will do. Everything's connected. All the wires are ran inside the cab. All I gotta do is plug those into the ECU. I have the drive shaft right here, so I gotta slap that thing on. The only thing I noticed is we caught a little surface rust on the yoke here. Probably get that off, a little bit of that Scotch-Brite stuff. Got the bolts right here. Luckily, everything I took off, I was really organized with the bolts, so I have not lost one bolt so far. Transmission cross members on, but not tight. It's a wiring mess inside of here. All these wires are way too long. Here's the ECU plug, a couple relays. I forgot how a lot of the battery wires went, but it's okay, we'll figure that out. I was kind of hoping to do the first start tonight, but it looks like we're gonna get dark here pretty soon, but I'm at least gonna try to get everything I can done. I still have to put fluid in the transmission. I'm gonna go ahead and buy oil, and then after I crank it, I'll let it probably run for 30 seconds. Then I'll probably change the oil on the engine because the oil is actually really low. Yeah, I'm actually working on putting the radiator back in. Dealing with this hose fiasco right here. Somebody put a hose inside of a hose and it's looking terrible. Luckily, I got a bunch of these JZ low radiator hoses. So it looks like I'm gonna be able to get exactly what I need out of this. Cause yeah, and I can always find a new hose later on, but this looks pretty good. So yeah, we're gonna cut that up. We're gonna get the radiator out. I hate the way the radiator's mounted, but we're gonna go ahead and mount it the same way. We're gonna make sure that the car runs, drives, doesn't overheat, you know, does all that, you know, and then we'll worry about tightening everything up. Just talking about all these stupid fucking relays here. They're all just mounted right here next to the battery on the firewall. We're supposed to have these tabs, but they all broke off. So it's gonna be sitting right here. Each of them has its own lead to the battery with its own fuse. Honestly, I don't really like it, but it's really gonna be really easy to work on and troubleshoot. So yeah, the goal is to get everything tightened up. I got my jams on. I've been working like crazy for the past couple hours. The deal fell through. I was supposed to buy a car and somebody beat me to it, but that's okay. At least I don't gotta drive to Vegas now. I gotta get back to work. I think I'm just stalling technically. The motor is just about almost ready to crank over. The starter kind of works on and off. I don't know why. It'll start and then it'll just click. So I think the starter's kind of taking shit on me, and this is all we got that we need to put back on the car. All we have is the lower grill and the actual grill, and then after that the car's almost back to other than the drive shaft. We have the drive shaft to put back in. I've been kind of dreading that. I don't know why. Drive shafts suck to put in, but there's some rust on here, so I had to hit that with the Brillo pad, and we got that nice and smooth. Put the transmission fluid in. We're pretty much ready to fire up the fuel system. I got the battery in here. We're gonna fuel system, make sure there's no leaks, and then shit, we should be good to plug in the ECU and see what she's got. So this is the fans and the chassis harness. I think, yeah, this is the fuel pump. So I'll just tap it, try to build some fuel pressure. And we're technically live. Let's fire up the fuel pump. There we go. Oh my gosh, he's leaking like a motherfucker. Fucking garbage ass AN lines. Ah, shit. Luckily, I got a friend that has a lot of these fittings. His name is Jason Kim, Rival Auto Works. He's over in, I don't know, about 20 minutes from here. So, we're gonna go get them. I'm on a mission. I want to get this thing started today, okay? So it should just fire right up. Once I get these fittings, I'm probably just going to replace all of them. And yeah, so we're going to head out there right now, and we're going to take the E36. Man, I love this car. Every time I get in it, it's just a freaking throwback, like a blast from the past. Such a good looking car. If anybody wants to buy this car, I'll sell it. So hit me up, like a lot of money. If you want to pay a lot of money for it, hit me up, I'll sell it. We're back. Had a little lunch break, fired up, ready to go. Fittings in hand. Big shout out to Jason Kim, Rival Auto Works. Called him up and he was like, yo, you need them? I got them. So I went over there, got a few extras too, just in case. I only saw 2 that were leaking. But we're gonna get to work on these bad boys because I want to get this puppy fired. And so far we are on track to getting this thing popping today. And then pretty much after that, say it does run good. All we need to do is put the radiator in and then bleed it. Oh, we have to tighten up the shaft to the steering rack. That way we don't die. And yeah, oh my God, I'm fired up. I'm gonna do some work, guys. We'll catch you in a couple minutes. So luckily, building all of these cars, got a bunch of stuff lying around. So I got a bunch of AN6 line. This thing is garbage. Get rid of that. Here's a nice new one. And now we're gonna make our nice cuts. This one wasn't cut nice, as you see what happened. Whoever just shoved it on, and that's why I was leaking. So these are cut real nice. I'm gonna pull the tape off, and I'm going to be very gentle. Brand new fitting. Take it, slide it over. Let's give it a twist and push, as far as it can go. Can't see it, but trust my word on that. When you put this in, it should go in pretty easy at the beginning, but it should get harder and harder. That's letting you know it's making its way through the inside of the pipe, and it's pushing the rubber out against this, and it feels nice and tight. And then you're gonna need an AN wrench, or what I just use is a 219s or 218s to get the rest of that. So we'll do this side too. Okay, now the fuel system is ready to be primed. Oh, I gotta put all these bolts back in. That's okay. Let's see, fuel system is boop, boop. Yep, right here. Okay, we got 60 pounds of fuel pressure, 0 leaks. 60 pounds of fuel pressure. She's ready to fire, boys. Cool. Okay, there's no reason why we can't start this thing right now. We're gonna key on fuel pressure, check for leaks, crank it, hopefully it works. I don't know if it's a starter or the battery doesn't have enough juice, but here's another one. Here's a good one. So if this doesn't work, then it's for sure the starter. Seems like it was a wire issue. What the hell is going on here? I guarantee you this is going to be the problem. It's wrapped in tape, and I wiggle it around and I get voltage on and off. So this is the wire going to the alternator, and then I have a jumper wire going from the alternator to the starter. So let's unravel this real quick and see what we got. A lot of tape. Holy cow. Just as I thought. Just as I fucking thought. I'm just gonna cut a little bit off of this and redo the whole thing. See if we can get a decent crimp on that. I don't have another one of these, so let's hope we can revive this. If everything else is good, she should fire off. So let's give that a shot. I can't wait. Hey guys, she started. I turned it off right away because I didn't see nothing on the oil pressure gauge. I know it might take a while to get oil around and get it through the line and actually like showing pressure, but I'm gonna go ahead and take the gauge off crank the starter, and I know you should build a tiny bit of oil pressure when you're starting, so I'm just gonna crank it, see if I get oil out of there, and then yeah, I guess we'll just go from there. Let's start it. This time I'll let it run for 30 seconds. The damn someone bypassed the electronic throttle, so now you actually have to like keep the gas to start it, and it's hard to hold the camera and stuff. So oh, I had 100 pounds of oil pressure. Let's do it again. Hell yeah. We're reading dumb rich. Dumb rich. Okay, hopefully that's the last problem I got figured out. It was another ground issue. So the way that the harness was grounded was on the outside of the intake manifold, and if you could see, separating the outside of the intake manifold and the head is a rubber gasket. So it was getting a terrible ground, and I noticed this janky copper wire for the oil pressure gauge is going through the firewall, and every time it touched the firewall it would ground and the ECU would turn on, and every time I would wiggle the gauge the ECU would turn off, and I was like, what the fuck? So narrowed it down to that. So what I did is I just put a jumper ground from here to the side of the frame right here, and the ECU is staying on, so she's ready to start. Oh, and I'm stupid, this is technically my first standalone, and yeah, I forgot to put the map wire on. So okay, let's fire this girl up. Oh, it runs way better with the map sensor. Holy cow, it runs great now. Holy cow, no misfires, no nothing. She runs like a fucking snack. Oh, I do need to plug in the fans. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna let it run for a little bit, guys. My GoPro battery's about to die too. So we're gonna let it run, see if we can bleed some coolant here. And hell yeah, hell yeah. It's rainy, we ran out of time, boys, and she runs. Check it out. Been bleeding this stupid clutch all morning, and it's been giving me problems. So what I did was I had a whole spare clutch assembly. I'm talking slave, master, and line. So I went ahead, bench bled it, put that in. Here's the old one. There is nothing wrong with this. There's also nothing wrong with that. The clutch has really good throw, but the car will not go into gear. You put it in gear while it's off, and you push the clutch in, and you can't even roll the car. So we're in a bit of a pickle here, and there's really nothing else I could think of. Either our clutch fork is bent, we have the wrong throw bearing, or something's wrong with the clutch. It is a brand new Clutch Masters clutch, so what I'm thinking about doing, pulling the engine out, putting the engine next to the car, changing some stuff, put the transmission back on, and we're gonna, for now on, we're gonna test the transmission outside of the car. So we're just gonna spare the grief, and I'm gonna pull the engine out. It's 10:41. Let's see if we can get this thing out. You won't fucking believe this. The clutch wasn't disengaging, so I pulled the whole freaking engine out, right? What's the first thing I see? These fingers, they're uneven. The second thing I see, there's a bolt right there. And what do you know? It's the same bolt as these bolts. And if you look down here, there's a different bolt. See? That's the missing bolt right here. Jesus Christ. Got the engine pulled out. Figured out the problem in about 12 seconds. damn bolt stuck in the flywheel, and we went ahead and we replaced the throwout bearing. I had one that kind of fit, but not really, so I made it fit because I originally re-greased the factory one, and it sounded like shit. So we got a new one in there. She's ready to go, and we're gonna throw this back in. Okay guys, that's just gonna about wrap it up for this video. We're gonna go ahead and start on the next one because I feel like these videos are getting really long, and I don't know if people are watching them. If you guys like the long videos, drop a comment. If you don't like the long videos, I could always make like 10 or 15 minute videos, and we could kind of keep it real short. But just let me know, and we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up because I'm gonna work on the car. I'm actually gonna put some more trans fluid in it because I lost a lot. After that, hopefully in the next video we should be able to drive it. So I'm fired up about that. This car has come a long way, and I want to keep going. I have a bunch of cool parts for it that I'm gonna put on. We're gonna keep pushing. So thanks for watching. This is I Surrender Garza from Solid Modified. I'm out. See you later, guys.